I'll say with the accent.
Okay.
A lot of people will say like, oh, Kiyom Chamo Chris, crew, I crew though nah, Chris, where are you going? And they'll say that my accent, my Khmer accent, transfers over if I'm like, oh, Toi La, Xin Chao Toi La, Chris, like in Vietnamese or something.
Yeah.
But like trying to go from language to language, that gets difficult because one, it's accents do play a big part.
Tonality.
Yes, definitely.
Hey, what's up, guys? We out here. My name is Meili Tao, your Donut Princess, and you're listening to Short and Sweet, a Donut Princess podcast. This is the first episode in my in-home studio. It is a work in progress, and I'm glad I have a very special guest to kick it off. What do you go by?
We'll go by C Crave.
C Crave. So C Crave. But what's your real name?
Christopher Evander Cravens.
Christopher Evander
Cravens. That is my real name. That is my
see.
full government. I put the full government out there.
I see why you go by C Crave, and that's actually how I remember you. And how I met C Crave is, well, if you dial it back, nowadays when you're watching YouTube, I'm always looking for new videos to watch. And my boyfriend was like, hey, check out this guy. Like, he can speak Cambodian fluently along with other languages. And I was like, nah, like, let me see what you're talking about. So he showed me, and I was so impressed. I was like, oh my God, his like the language, like the dialect, the accent, like it's pretty good, and obviously you are African American. Yes. And you're not, Cambodian. So I'm like,
not mixed, no. As much as you may see it on social media, no, I'm 100% black.
And I love that you've made the effort to learn the languages that you have. And one of the reasons why is like I'm so inspired by the type of content you put out for people and the dedication that you have to really promoting culture, even though it's a little bit different from yours.
Yes.
And so how did it all start for you, when you first got on YouTube or Instagram? Like, how did you start coming up with, how did you learn the language? Like, when did you learn the languages, and what helped you kind of push your content towards this direction of culture?
So it would be, if we go back, we'd have to take it back to Stockton is where it all started off at. And my family...
209?
Yeah, 209 in the house. My family lived on the south side of Stockton, moved to the north side of Stockton, and the north side of Stockton was predominantly Asians. We lived in a community that was predominantly Cambodian, to be more specific. And we didn't get along at first.
Yeah.
We did not get along at first. You had the racial slurs flying around and everything.
Yeah. There's a lot of that, by the way.
Yes.
In any language of Asian that I know, since like I'm Chinese, Cambodian, Thai.
Yes.
There's always this, way that you address Black people that it's not very respectful,
True.
and there's a lot of history that goes along with the conflict.
Yes.
But sorry to interrupt, I just had to add that in that. One of the things that I try to do whenever I'm talking to family members or friends and I hear people using these slurs in different languages, I'm like, hey, that's not okay. You've got to change it now. It's 2022. We're getting along now. So continue.
Well, and to touch on that real quick, it's like, what you're saying is exactly what I tell people. When we were going through everything with the Black Lives Matter, everything that's been going on, just with Stop Asian Hate, I tell people it's not about just going to one protest and thinking, okay, I've made a difference.
No.
It's what you do in your everyday life.
In your home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What are you doing in your everyday life to stop that? And I tell people, that's why I do my social media stuff to bridge that racial gap. But I started learning more about the Asian culture and specifically Khmer once again when I was living on the north side of Stockton, and everybody that was in our complex was Khmer. So eating the food, learning the language, and then basically being adopted by a Khmer family. Like I would spend the night over their house, and I actually lived with them when my family got evicted at a certain part in time, and we had to split up.
Yeah.
So I moved in with them, and so I was living with them for about a year or so.
And they probably were like, "Come live with us."
Oh
Come
yeah, no,
eat
the dad loved me. He took me. He had 8 boys, so
Wow.
8 boys already to take care of, and I was his ninth basically. The ninth one living with them, and yeah, so forever grateful for that. And then just at school, it was just the Asian Empire.
Yeah.
That's what we called her. So we hung on the wall, and everybody knew me as the black. You could say, "Oh, you know my little brother? Who? Chris? Nah, the black guy that hang with the Asian." Yeah,
that guy.
Yeah, that guy. I know
guy.
you talking about. I know you talking about. So but that's where it all started at, and how it came to going towards social media. I was doing music at first. On one of my trips up to Stockton, I did a freestyle in Khmer, and then that caught traction, and then sort of switched it all up, and then down the line, I started doing comedy skits with it, and that's where we are now.
And I'm sure you learned a lot of the knowledge that you have about the culture from when you lived with a Cambodian family.
Yes.
What are some things that, goes, obviously you have friends who Khmer and you went to school with people who Khmer, but once you're underneath the household of a Cambodian family, what's some of your what are your top 3 favorite things where you're like, oh, that's strange, or oh, that's cool?
I think it just one, you're definitely going to have the different the greetings, and I think from English we're talking sir, ma'am. Okay, that's good enough. No problem. Khmer, Ming,
Ming,
Yay, Ta,
Boo.
Boo, yeah. So Bong,
Yeah.
So it starts switching up and having to learn all of that. So that's definitely one of the things. Okay, make sure you bow your head when you walk past an elder. Don't get popped. Do not get popped.
Do not get popped. It's all about respect when it comes to the language and how you address people.
Yes.
That's, I think, off the bat, that's definitely the first thing you learn when you enter that household.
And it is. I think that was probably one of there are multiple ways to show respect. Where I think it's simpler in the in American culture, hello, just start basic greetings or whatever. But there are multiple ways to show respect within the Asian culture and in a Cambodian household in different greetings. So that was one of the things I would definitely say interesting as well.
I mean, I sometimes have issues with that too, because you're and so what I do is I always call them the older one in case that they're offended. So it's
you don't go by the younger way, because they said go by the younger to make it feel good.
Oh, I go by the older way, just out of respect. If it's somebody my age, or a little older, I'll be like, "Hey, boo," and they're like, "No, call me Bong." I'm like,
okay,
all right, okay, cool, I'll call you Bong. But yeah, it's important in Cambodian culture as well as Chinese culture too.
Yes.
There's different ways you address people. Chinese, it gets even more complicated.
Okay.
It changes from the side that you are, if it's your mom or dad's side relatives. Yep. And so yeah, I mean, addressing people is definitely a big part of it. Food is a big part of it. I'm sure you had a lot of amazing Cambodian food. What is your favorite Khmer dish?
Salau machu krung. I can eat some salau machu krung 24/7. Just I love it. Just it's such I love that. And the one that I was talking earlier, a snack. I wish they sold tarantulas here. People do not realize how good the tarantula. It tastes like soft shell crab. It's a soft shell crab snack.
For those of you who don't know, tarantula is a delicacy, or not so much a delicacy in Cambodia, but it's everywhere. You go to the market and it's just there and you're looking at it. But you've had it before.
Yes.
And you said it tastes like soft shell crab. I have not tried it.
I had it in Phnom Penh at one of the on one of the carts, and that's exactly what it tasted like. It is so good.
So they fry it then.
They
had it fried.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had
legs and all.
I've had the these not grasshoppers,
the crickets?
Crickets.
Okay, the crickets are good.
And they dip it with that may ploist sauce.
Okay.
Have you had that? I had that in Thailand. That was probably the most adventurous I got.
Got you. Would you try tarantula?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I could. Have you tried prohok?
Prohok? Oh, yeah.
You like?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah. Come on now. Come on now. Give me that stank.
So prohok is like pretty much a fermented fish paste. And it's really funny because there's a saying that even real Cambodians won't eat it because it's so stinky and it's super fermented, but it's salty and it's really delicious. My mom makes a really delicious one actually without it called mum.
Okay.
And you dip it with the cucumbers or the eggplants. It's so good. Today we actually also have some amazing food that my mom prepared for us. I wanted to ask you, do you think you can name these in Khmer?
No, I couldn't. Only that one.
Okay.
Boklahong. Oh, no.
No.
Actually, no. It would be two.
Swai Nyom.
What, that one?
Yeah.
Swayong?
Swai Nyom.
So that's not Boklahong.
No.
Because no noodles in there.
Boklahong is actually papaya salad.
Papaya. So
this is actually green mango.
that's green mango. Oops. Dang, I just lost
It's
points
okay.
right there. Okay. We know that's Tere.
Tre, yes.
And then that one, I don't know that one. This one is actually made in a leaf, right? Or
Yeah, it's like
different versions
it's like
of it?
It's like a curry. Yeah.
Okay.
And then this one is sngatru.
okay, snotru.
It's also like a sourish like soup, and obviously we have the
Oh, bye.
bai. Yes.
Yam bai.
Yam bai.
Akamau, yam bai, bye.
Akmao is also a term used to, address
You
black people.
So it's one thing though. I mean, I think definitely with everything so high with racial tensions right now, there's been some people some over the years if somebody's coming at you in a foul way with saying Kamau,
Yes.
So people when they see me in public, it's like, oh, Kamau, hey, and they're excited to meet me, but somebody from the start come in, hey, you can't call him that.
Hey, you can't address him like that. He has a name. He has a name.
And like I said, if they're coming at you. So it's now if they were to say, it's only disrespectful to me if you throw in the two of them. Because what it was, the translation to the N word back then was, basically, kaprik kamau.
Yeah.
So you're saying black twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just know you have a name, but also I can see it's a term of endearment.
Yeah.
You've accepted that because obviously you've been around a bunch of Cambodian people before.
Well, and it's my nickname.
It's your nickname.
My nickname that my brothers and my friends have given.
And hey, I
clout. That's my nickname in the group. Yeah, in my circle, in my family group, my nickname is I clout.
I love it. I love it. So tell me a little bit about, where you draw the inspiration for your videos and your content.
Just growing up and seeing it all.
Yeah, for sure.
Growing up and seeing it all, a lot of people, some of the things I put out there, a lot of the things I put out there, it's not stuff you're going to be able to Google search.
No.
Yeah, you have to, if you weren't in it or a part of it, then you're not going to know about it, Just like recently I put out the Prankala one, and how much people fear getting the coining done and everything like that.
I feared it a lot.
See, and it's so a lot of it's just telling my story of what I grew up and what I went through with my friends and my family, my second family and all. So that's where it all comes from.
Now, have you gotten coined yourself?
Yeah. I did, and we actually had to do it for a skit. Up until that point, that was last year, or a little bit before that. And so I wanted to do a skit to go ahead and one of the things how when people got coined, if they got coined and they go to school, now people are thinking, oh, are you getting abused?
That's what happened to my brother growing up. The teacher contacted my parents and were like, are you hitting your kid? But if you guys don't know, coining is actually a way to cure illness. If you have a cough, a fever, literally anything, a stomach ache, they're going to pull you over. They're going to give you some kind of oil, right?
Yes.
You guys might have seen the green one, the white one, the one with the tiger, the monkey. And they pretty much take it and they take a quarter or like a coining instrument and they go until it's like pretty dark. And if it's dark, that means like, oh, you're releasing the sickness from your body. But it's very painful. And growing up, literally, my uncle would tie my legs down.
Really?
And then
You hated it that much?
I hated it that much. I would kick and scream. It was definitely not enjoyable, but a lot of people use it to heal themselves.
Mm-hmm. So we had to. That's the first time I did it. It was we did it for a skit, and to show that skit, I was like, well, I don't want to. I mean, how would you even fake those scars? Like, we needed the real thing. Yeah. So I got my whole back coined. I got my chest coined, and we used a quarter. People were also telling me they use a ceramic spoon.
Yeah.
So that one I haven't seen.
I haven't seen the spoon, but I've seen the instrument where they have a handle.
Okay.
But yeah, most of the time it's a quarter, and
Got
it's
you.
so painful. It's so painful.
What'd you get done with?
The quarter. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's not that great.
Because they're going to scrape skin. That's what they're aiming for.
No, I love watching videos like that because it's like it's videos that I've experienced as a child or in my childhood, but
Yes.
I've never really seen anybody do it on social media. So I love how creative you've been with your videos.
Appreciate.
And it hits home for people. I see people engaging in a way where they're like, they leave you these comments of just like, oh my God, I went through that, or they just have this relatability, which I think is so important nowadays, especially across cultures.
Extremely, extremely important. What I tell everybody is, you want to aim to make if your content is relatable, even better. And that's what I love to see. And also just other people chiming in that aren't from the Asian culture. And okay, what is that? And then people being informed about it. Because at the end of the day, that's my main goal with this is to, one, make everybody smile, make everybody laugh, but to bridge that gap and educate people and show, just bring everybody together with it.
Hell yeah. What is the toughest thing that you've experienced while making content for the Asian American community, and because of not looking like an Asian person? Tell me about that tough time.
You're going to get the individuals that think that it's being, okay, anybody who's new to it, wait a minute, is he making fun of the Asian culture, with certain skits or whatever? And you have some that, can't take the joke or, get too serious with it. I wouldn't even say it's a tough thing, though, with that. But I think that's, hopefully they become part of the conversation and, join and see what the message is all about. Don't look at this one thing, but look at the vision.
Yeah.
See the vision and the broader, what is the main goal of it.
Yeah.
So I would say that. But yeah, and just, actually, I know. The real tough one is bouncing from language to language to language.
Okay,
That's the obstacle.
Can you
right
demonstrate a little bit about that to us?
So,
for those who haven't seen your videos?
So, just one thing, I'll say with the accent.
Okay.
A lot of people will say, Kiyom Chris, Chris, where are you going? And they'll say that my accent, my Khmer accent transfers over if I'm like, Toi La, Xin Chào Toi La, Chris, like in Vietnamese or something.
Yeah.
But trying to go from language to language, that gets difficult because one, it's accents do play a big part.
Tonality.
Yes, definitely. So I think that would be something.
What's a word that's really hard to pronounce for you in Cambodian? There's a lot of hard words.
I haven't really come across, I think, any word, and this is across the board, not because few of the Southeast Asian languages have them, and Asian languages, the NG.
The ny.
Horrible.
Or the nyo.
Yeah, it's horrible for me. Horrible.
I'm learning the Cambodian alphabet right now, and there's two characters, and one is nga and one is nya.
Lao, they have a yin yin yin. They always say I say it wrong. Money is yin. Say like onion, but it's not onion. Just say the ni. Oh no, wait, don't say this. I just said exactly what you told me to say. And it's still wrong.
As with everything, language takes time and practice,
Definitely.
just like the courage it takes for you to even put out content like what you're doing. I think it's so courageous and so amazing that you're putting out content like this. Do you find anybody who is mimicking some of the content you're doing? Like, do you have any flattering fans where they try to do something also? Have you come across that yet? Because you will.
Oh no, I think I've seen it, but Jay-Z has a line, I heard her mother effer saying they made Hov, so it made Hov say, okay, make another Hov, But at the end of the day, I don't think you can really mimic it, You can't, if you haven't been a part of it or whatever it may be, you can't mimic it. And at the end of the day, if anybody's out there doing what I do or, biting, as we'll say, hey, let them. Yeah. I encourage it. Let's push it out and, spread it to as many people as possible. Because somebody's taking part in it now, and now we have, so I'd see nothing but a plus in that.
I love that.
I don't mind it, because I know at the end of the day, I'm me, and you can't make another C Crave.
Right.
Can't make another any of us.
Right, exactly. And there's the vision and the message that you have there, right?
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you, on my podcast, I ask my guests to explore 5 golden nuggets. We call that words of wisdom for someone who might be just starting out, deciding that they want to do content, kind of like what you're doing in comedy, although it might not seem very what's the word? Kind of like expected. We wouldn't expect, an African-American person to make a video about coining. But for those people who are out there who are like, hey, I grew up in a multicultural family, or I have experiences that I want to share, but I might be too scared. What are 5 words of advice that you could give this person who's listening out there?
So 5 words of advice?
Yeah.
So I can only limit it in 5?
No, you can go on and on and on.
Okay, so
5 is the minimum.
Okay. I was like, dang, how do I make sure not to quit?
Don't quit.
The biggest thing I would say is, one, start. Go ahead and put the content out there. I was not where I'm at now once I started. I think a lot of people, and you have to take time to get to a certain stage. So go ahead, start, and learn as you go along, and do not be discouraged about what anybody has to say what you're doing. Because if I would have stopped at the first person that, not the first person, the second, third, fifth, and 10th, and 9th, that, this is just some black kid wanting to be Asian, and I let that, go ahead and stop me, then now we have thousands and millions, because we have videos out there with millions of views, that people have engaged with, laughed, and this is hilarious, bam, bam, and those people wouldn't have been touched if I stopped because of the negativity. So push the negativity to the side. No matter what you do in life, you're going to get that criticism.
Haters.
Always.
Always.
So go ahead and just do it. Don't worry about the people that are against you. Think about the people that you are going to encourage, the people that you are going to motivate, the people that you are going to make smile, laugh, and explore a different culture, or explore whatever it is that you're trying to put out there. That would be the biggest thing right there.
I love it. I love that. It's so clear too that I feel like people often feel stopped when they encounter a hater or two. But the internet, it's just there's so many haters on there because they can hide behind their phone. Trolls, as we call them by Gen Z. And it's I think you bring up a really good point, is focus on your own content, keep going, post frequently, and have that vision for what that niche is for your content. I think you've touched many people, including myself, and I'm curious to know what's next for you.
Keep going with it, and I think that's the biggest. That's a challenge in itself. especially with social media, because the biggest thing with social media is consistency.
Yes.
You know, making sure you're continuously putting out that content. And I think another thing that would be next for me is also putting out content that's going to more mainstream and not just on the Asian culture, but okay, what comedy can also bring other people in? Because at the end of the day, if I'm only doing Asian content, then you'll reach a ceiling eventually, you know? So now we need to do more content to bring other cultures into it. Then we want to go ahead and also explore other cultures, and you know, hey, my Asian followers will see that. My black followers, my Hispanic followers, everybody. It's just, my saying is, it's better when we eat together.
And I love that.
That's what I'm about. And if we go ahead and bring it all in together and everything, and it's just such a packed thing, you know, the food brings people together. And if we're having all these, you know, different foods from different cultures, we explore and we learn more about. That's where we have time to talk. That's where we can talk and learn more about one another.
That is so beautifully said. And actually, for those of you who didn't know, I actually ended up seeing you visit my donut shop last year, and
The avocado sandwich was
the avocado sandwich, and he's just eating these donuts. If you guys haven't seen that video yet, check out his Instagram. But yeah, food brings people together. Food has brought me together with some amazing individuals. I love your message, because I also resonate with that. I think food is such a comforting thing for all cultures. Why don't we eat together at the table together? And with your message and your vision, even though you're just one person, you don't know who you're going to reach nowadays with social media and the internet. And so with that note, let's eat together.
Oh yeah, you already know it.
I'm gonna heat these up for us, and we're gonna do a quick little mukbang as an addition to this podcast. But for those of you who are watching, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to Short and Sweet Podcast. And should we say Jamriablia?
No.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Jamriablia. Bye.